Are we recording? Great. I love it when we press record. Makes me feel all important and stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women of the internet and beyond, Luke here. Welcome to I'm As Shocked As You Are. For the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be sitting down with some of my favourite people to talk about their remarkable journeys. All from humble beginnings to critically acclaimed figures. Critically acclaimed figures, doesn't that sound impressive? I know critically acclaimed figures. My guests and I talk about their trials and tribulations and what life was like before and after success, and probably just crack some jokes as well because, as Eckhart Tolle once said, laughter breaks through the ego. For this first episode, we're celebrating 10 years of People Just Do Nothing. We've got Alan Mustafa and Hugo Chegwin joining me live in the studio. Not quite sure how I've pulled that off, but they did turn up. They also have a sold-out show on the 28th of September at the O2 Academy, and it's sold out. You can't get any tickets, so if you purchased, hold on to those bad boys. I'll probably make it onto the guest list. So, without wanting to waste any more of your precious time, let's get into episode 1 with Alan Mustafa and Hugo Chegwin live in the studio. Kurupt FM in the building. Best believe. Yes, boys,
What's going on?
we're actually here. I'm really grateful that you guys could join me, man. I feel lucky that I was even able to put this together. I don't think anyone can just DM you guys and suddenly get you on a podcast.
No way. We are very, very busy and successful men, aren't we?
Yeah.
Very.
And
my schedule is a lot of chilling in my pants alone.
Yeah, same.
I kind of feel like, you know, when an artist gets signed to a major record label and they don't release the best single first. They sort of do like a warm-up single or like a street single. I feel like I've definitely not done that here. Okay. I'm not actually sure.
I was going to say that's what I've done.
No. I'm actually not quite sure how I'm going to top this.
What you got next? Fabric designer.
How often do you guys actually see each other? Because, I mean, you've so got your own separate things going on whilst working together.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're in your 30s, you kind of need to figure out a way of working with each other to actually see each other, because everyone's got their own lives by the time you get to like our age.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like just Kurupt FM never really dies. Like there's always stuff that needs to be done, conversations, and
the thing is, because we sort of we voice note each other like every day pretty much.
Yeah.
So you feel like you see each other.
Yeah.
And then it's, you know what I mean, like a couple times a month, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. There's always things going on. Like there's always stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
And
a lot of the projects we work on separately, we get each other involved with.
So they intertwine a bit. Yeah. Like you were kind of, do you know what? I was so sick yesterday. I was in bed, but it meant that I got to watch all of Peacock.
Oh, sick.
So I've actually kind of seen the whole thing. So I know you're kind of.
Oh, yeah.
You're in there as well.
A feature.
Yeah.
Track 4.
Yeah, track 4. And like, because that's the dream, really, isn't it? To be able to like make, do all this stuff and you're actually mates. And to be able to tour together and to work in that way.
Yes.
I mean, it's just such a...
Definitely.
That's winning.
100%.
Yeah,
and you'll know it as a DJ, like sometimes touring, if you're on your own or whatever, like it's different to doing it with all your pals, like you've done it with like pro and stuff like that. And I'm sure you've done it without, and it's a difference.
And there are other times where you're just kind of randomly bundled together. We were part of like there was like 17 of us at one point, sort of band and stuff. And it's like, you could almost make a show of that. Do you know what I mean? And there's like...
Jot that down.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Spinal Tap?
Of course.
I mean, it goes back a long way, but like I think that was the first sort of mockumentary, 100%.
Right? Yeah, one of the...
Where it was, is this real? And I had the same thing when I saw The Office, and I had the same thing when I saw you guys on YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's like... I can't, is this real or not? And I don't know if that's a really important thing that needs to happen for a mockumentary, but it was like, the first time I saw you guys was on YouTube, and it was, is this real or not?
We remember, because there was only a bunch of people like in the scene or whatever that like, because we weren't in the scene, like. Yeah.
We were far from any scene.
Yeah, exactly. So like, we really clocked when people like you, Pro Green, I think Lily Allen saw it early on. Like, and to us it was like super important that it felt real. More important than anything.
I think as well, coming from like a musical like lineage.
From doing
Is that
musicals.
right? Yeah, from doing musicals in West End.
Yeah.
You really wanted to make something gritty.
Yeah.
No, but I think coming from like music, like Spinal Tap, is that is this real I guess without knowing, just about getting, you know, like clothing right and the way that people speak and all of that was super
but it was
important.
just so on point. You know that these people must have come from this life. Like there's no one that someone who was doing musicals could have studied, you know, and got it that right. Like you just knew that you guys, and I come from the same background. Like I used to do pirate radio. Do you know what I mean? So I know how accurate it is, and the different characters in People Just Do Nothing. I grew up with all, like I can think of friends of mine of like, he was Steve's.
Yeah, but at that time,
do you know what I mean?
Like they were, you know, like Heartless Crew were pop stars to us.
Yeah.
Like that was the cool thing. So I think everyone was a little bit of an outsider in that world. It's very like hard to get into it because it's like it wasn't like pop music, but it's as big as that. Like when I was at school, Mighty Mo was like, you know, Justin Bieber.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
and looked like him.
Yeah. Same. Like for me, it was like, because my mine would have been, so I guess like Heartless would have been like sort of Northwest, right? So you would have got that in West.
Yeah.
Tapes and all that shit, yeah. And then mine would have been more Southwest, so Delight FM.
Yeah.
So people like, you know, like Romeo, like I thought like, I never knew it, you know, it's not until you see Romeo and like what his sort of how they packaged him as the sweet boy sort of thing. But to me, he was like some dark side MC
Pirate
because
Radio
of his
Romeo
voice.
was
different.
hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had that, but I think when Heartless came, it, you know, that sort of sound system culture,
different.
Like especially our schools near like
a shop.
A shop.
Is that interesting?
That sold dancehall music.
So
it's
like,
a dancehall music shop.
So what was your involvement in what was your life like before People Just Do Nothing, or before, I guess, you know, your big break, as it were? Were you doing pirate radio? I know that you were DJs and MCs, right? Is that the case?
Yeah.
And was it like rocking up, because you said you felt like outsiders, or were you rocking up to like hip hop jams? Do you remember Kung Fu?
Yeah.
Not to alienate all of our maybe possible younger listeners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like a
Do you know
drill
what I mean?
night.
Because
Do you know what? It was different stages. So early in our past lives, like before we met maybe like 22, 23 years old.
Yeah. Maybe younger.
Like 21 or something.
Yeah.
We didn't go. It wasn't like school times.
Okay.
It was just towards the end of college time, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I did it late. But yeah, so before that, around school, around just after school, sort of between like, I guess 17 and 19, I did pirate radio.
Yeah.
And I was on a thing called Rampage FM.
Okay.
And they're way more regional. They weren't like the Delights or the Raw FM. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's how sort of I relate to what he's saying, because I was never quite part of the proper scene.
Yeah.
But I was like earning my stripes in that sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my friend from school, Rice
Star,
aka MC X Flow. His mum moved out his flat because she got with some guy and moved into a proper house and left the flat to him, and he was like 15 years old, 2 years younger than me.
Right.
And he just had this flat, and Rampage FM close, so we got everyone from there.
And where was that based?
That was Kingston.
I was in Kingston.
So like the area was on Cambridge Estate, and he was on a little more sort of one of them orange brick estates, like, you know, the smaller ones. Like down the road.
Yeah. And how far did that transmit to, do you think? Where
I don't even know, man. I couldn't even tell you. Like,
so it gets a little
just
fuzzy
around Southwest. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's fuzzy around Richmond. But like, and that was called Kurupt FM.
Okay.
Because
it was named by you?
Me and Raj. So I always forget this. I don't even know if you know this. So growing up, my first love was like Snoop Dogg Doggy Style, music wise, right?
Yeah.
Then Garage and Jungle came into it, blah blah blah. But me and Raj always loved Snoop Dogg, Dog Pound. And Kurupt was one of the members, and it was spelled with a K.
Yeah, of course.
So then we called it Kurupt FM.
Oh, okay, sick.
That's where that comes from.
Do you know what I loved? Something that Steve Stamp said once is how important it was that you guys were from sort of Zone 5.
Exactly.
In the show, which is very much like Ricky Gervais said the same thing about why it was filmed in Slough, is because you're almost
Yeah,
there.
the bright
You
lights
can
are there.
see it.
Yeah.
But you're just here.
Exactly. And for some reason, that's like if you're fully from way out, you feel like I need to get out of here. I need to make it. But like if you're from nearby, most people from Ireland be like, "No, I'm not going up Central. It's long."
It's a
like,
mission.
Yeah, it's a mission. It's like 20 minutes on the train.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you, in your past life, you did pirate radio and stuff, right?
Yeah. There was like a pirate radio thing in a phone shop called Major FM.
Amazing.
We had to crawl under the shutters, and then
I did a pirate radio show in a crack house once.
Yeah, a lot of women traps. Yeah,
and I was literally like, I think I was like 15, 16.
Yeah,
and they were really nice about it. They sort of shielded me in there.
Yeah,
but like,
don't look at
and
them.
it was before I even knew what crackheads
your eyes.
were or what crack was.
don't smoke their zoots.
Is someone burning plastic?
Don't smoke their zoots. They are not zoots. Those are not
That's
zoots.
not clear Rizzler.
But it's like, and just it's so nice, like, like in the show, hearing things like DTI and subs and like just all the sort of, I didn't hear those words for so many years. And it's just everything is just so kind of on point and realistic. And it wouldn't have been if you hadn't had that background.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
But we knew when you lot were watching it, it was people, because it was still very niche and people told us no one would care about it. But then when there's people sort of in the industry or in the scene or whatever, we knew it was because they had a background in that. It's something that they related to.
But also we didn't know that like garage, like now garage is like, it's a staple. It's like everywhere, like reggae, for example. I mean, that's probably extreme. But it's at every festival. It's part of like British music culture. But when we started doing it, garage was dead. Like no one was playing it.
When we started People's Nothing,
that's what was funny about it as well.
It was like a flat. It was like these guys are stuck in the past. Like when you see someone's parents that look at photos from the 80s, I can't believe he used to do that. It was kind of that feeling.
Yeah. And also that kind of age where you're just so hell-bent on this era is the only era that matters.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
This character-defining
and
shit.
even to add a bit of jungle in there, I think none of that new drum and bass you guys
exactly.
I actually feel like that. Jungle. That's real.
A lot of it comes from how we felt like it was, how like, like artists talk about how like, I put that a bit in my things, that's how I feel. And I want people to. We do that. We did that with like when like house music and when dubstep first came out. For us, it was like that's grime for people that don't want the MCs and they're a bit more studenty. We actually felt like that.
And those characters would hate.
They would hate
dubstep.
that.
Because it's taken away their thing.
Yeah.
What would you say is like? How would you describe the relationship between Grindr and Beats? I mean, because there's obviously an idolization from Beats to Grindr. And I actually think it's a dynamic that I've sort of seen before. There is something about the DJ-MC relationship.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And I just kind of wonder, I don't know where...
It's weird. At that time, like, the MC was the superstar.
But
as time's gone on, it's actually... The DJ is, like, the star and the MC/host. It's just part of that... Like if you look at Chase and Status, for example, they're the stars, and then they've got their, their hosts and stuff who are amazing. But you're going to see Chase and Status.
I think it's cyclical. I think sometimes the MC's the star, then sometimes suddenly producers get really popular. And then it just kind of goes.
Back then, the MC was the guy.
Of course. And still mostly is, I think.
And
I don't know. It's
with that
genre.
Music,
exactly. Like it depends what
like
type
house
of music.
DJs are superstars.
Exactly.
But with grime, I guess like you want to see like
you're watching the MCs.
D-Double come and shell it down. That's more important than who's DJing.
Of course.
It's interesting that because you're never sort of thought of it like that. That is probably why that dynamic was set up like that, because like
definitely
like
a part of it. Beats just I feel he just he wants to. I think some of the things that Grindr has that he lacks, he wants like
a type of confidence.
Like he can't see that Grindr has flaws.
Yeah,
like
he thinks he's amazing.
Yeah, he thinks he's.
And I think Grindr, all chips are on Grindr, and Grindr needs Beats to make him feel.
Is that Grindr wouldn't be that without Beats,
him?
Because no one else believes Grindr.
So I'm going to hang on to this.
Like he's like like you see him on a school trip, or you see him like outside of the Beats and Grinder universe. He's like, he can't manage. But as soon as Beats is there, the arrogance, the self-confidence goes up to 11. And like that, I love Grinder.
And I was thinking that like, so I was watching Peacock yesterday. And I like, there's something I feel that like Andy Peacock and Grinder have in common, which is they just want to be loved. Essentially, it's kind of what it is, really.
And with People Just Do Nothing, the camera's there, right? So Grinder has his mask on a lot of the time, and you only see it slip sometimes. Whereas with Peacock, because it's not a mockumentary, and he's not self-aware of the camera being there, or he doesn't know he's being filmed.
It's
mad. It's how TV works.
People around.
But so you get to see way more what he's actually thinking and feeling, sort of thing. And it will only, his bravado comes out in front of some people, but he's way worse at it. Andy Peacock's definitely way more on the spectrum, I'd say. In a sense.
Beats wants to unpack everything that Grinder says, not to expose him, but because he loves
He wants to hear more.
He wants more. He wants every detail. Like when he says he took out the Bloods and Crips, for example. Beats wants to know every micro detail because he loves it so much.
So we did a podcast, and I'd be like improvising as Grinder. People Stuffing podcast. And part of that, Beats would be like, "Oh, tell the boys about the story when you moved to Miami." And I'm like, "What's? Oh, right, because I forgot." And I'm like, "Yeah, I took out the Bloods and the Crips." And he's like, "The Bloods and the Crips? Wait, in Miami, in the 80s? How old were you? And then I'd answer it and go, "Right, yeah, of course."
This is so ludicrous, but Beats that he never questions it.
Have you guys ever had a problem with sort of separating yourself from the character? I remember like Matt LeBlanc from Friends said that he played Joey for so long that he felt like it made him a bit dumb. Because he just got so into the character. But like, I don't know. And do you see the characters as part of yourselves? Because I don't know. I think because to be able to play it so well.
It's definitely part of our comedic language on and off camera. Do you know what I mean? So like even then when I went, make a note of it, went, oh yeah, it's like you quickly fall into a dynamic that you both set up, but it could be the other way around though.
Yeah, and I think that's with all of us.
Like,
there's always like, I think when we're collectively together, we're all Grinder at some moment. And like terrorising or taking the piss out of each other.
It comes from being friends anyway.
Exactly.
And People Just Do Nothing didn't feel strategic at the beginning. It felt very much like it was just friends, really enjoying this.
Yes,
nothing strategic.
I didn't feel like it was like this grand master plan of then to end up touring and making an album and doing a beat. But that's the most beautiful thing about it.
I guess impulsive, but like running off of like what feels good. Like from doing a set on One Extra to like, all right, maybe we could do it live, and then like having a few live shows that were okay, and then doing one where we shelled it down.
And it was actually
and moving off that.
If you think about the webisodes, we did 5 webisodes in 2 years. So of course we weren't strategic. You know what I mean? Like
nothing about it.
And did it catch on slowly over time?
Really slowly.
Really? So you kind of, it was up there for a while, and then you just sort of get on with your lives. You were just still.
And like it was people like you lot that would randomly tweet about it that would get it like a couple of thousand views in a day. Where for us, we'd have like 20,000 views every year. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So
we never went online. Bang! Like we've never had that with anything.
And what was the moment where was it? Mr. BBC gave you a call. Do you know what I mean?
So we did 5 webisodes, and then we got an email from John Petrie, who it was a junior producer at Rough Cut Productions at the time.
Right.
And I remember when we got the email, we were like, well, let's not get excited because like obviously it's the man. They might want to change what we do because we come from like an underground.
Who got the email?
Scene. I think Asim on Wasteman TV on the YouTube channel that People Do Nothing was on, so it was Asim.
Okay, right.
So then we all turned up there at like skeptical about it because we were like, at that point, to answer your question from before, at that point we're into like hip hop. Underground hip hop, 90s hip hop, like hip hop in general. And then so we had that mentality of like well, let's see what they say.
What would Skinny Man do?
Yeah, exactly. What Wu-Tang do? Yeah, exactly. And then so we're there skeptical in the office, and then Asha Tyler's in there, who's produced The Office, And then he proceeded to tell us that he'd produced The Office. And that was our biggest experience. We were like, oh, right, okay.
Oh, this is quite real. And it was like a real office.
It's a real, yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay, this could be...
And then a couple of weeks later, that was one of the things that happened quickly. A couple of weeks later, he'd got us a pilot on the BBC.
Right.
But because it was like a kind of youth scheme thing where they fund 5 to 6 pilots of people that are unknown, and put it onto the iPlayer like January 2012 or something.
Yeah.
And whoever gets the most views gets a series.
Wins.
Right.
And that was us. Yeah, wins in life. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was us. But also, before that, everything we did on YouTube was just improvised, right?
Right.
So once we got that pilot, we were like, amazing. Can we sort of just turn up on a day and
so it needed more structure.
And they were like, no way, you need to write a full script. Yeah. So we did about 20 drafts in 7 months. It took us ages.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when we first edited the pilot, we hated it.
It was horrible.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Because I guess it needed to have a sort of more of a story from beginning to end throughout the series.
Yeah.
And another kind of similar comparison I thought between Peacock and People Just Do Nothing was that at some point the main character gets Grinder or Peacock gets sidetracked and thinks that, and then ultimately ends up being about friendship, but he sort of forgets that. Do you know what I mean? Like in the film, in Big in Japan, and in Peacock, it's kind of, in Peacock he's like, no, I need to be this influencer, and you know, but then they come. So in a way, the film sort of had a deeper meaning about the importance of friendship and how connection and friendship is like ultimately going to always be more valuable than the bright lights.
100%.
And you know what I mean?
It's because we're such
Which is a
good
beautiful
friends.
thing. You know?
Yeah, 100%. And because we're such good friends, like, that sort of stuff means like the most to me in real life as well.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Like,
you know, especially as you get older, like these themes are more like...
Of course.
People haven't got time anymore. You know, like People See Nothing, Kurupt, those boys, the whole thing was them trying to keep that world alive and like us boys just blazing together and doing nothing, you know? Like, and then it's like, no, family gets involved or this gets involved. Like, that's why it's a theme that always means a lot to us in general as a group of creatives, I think.
Yeah. And I think you slowly figure that out over time, you know?
Yeah.
Because everyone wants to kind of, I guess, like progress and achieve and stuff like that. But like, it's quite easy to get sidetracked at times.
Exactly,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and like, I wanted to talk to you guys about, because like, I love The Office. Like that's, and I know that you boys love it as well. I'm talking about the UK version. And like, I mean, I have friends of mine in my life that like we just text each other quotes. And I don't actually ever know how they're doing. That's sort of all it is. They're like dear friends of mine, and all it is kind of quotes. And then there's Peep Show, which I just like. I actually like fall asleep to Peep Show sometimes. I've realised that it's like
that's what Kieran does every night. My best mate.
Well,
Kieran.
I've noticed that. I've noticed that Peep Show can act as a podcast. Like you can follow it without watching it. It's really weird.
I do that with documentaries, falling asleep.
Yeah.
I clock and I'm like, wait, I don't have to watch this.
A lot of open heart surgery stuff.
Yes.
Veterinary. And kind of in a slightly disappointing way, when I watch The Office, the memory of it and exchanging quotes with friends of mine is actually more. I think I've just watched it so much now that I actually think weirdly Peep Show can get rinsed in the modern day, like more so than.
But there's more of it. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? There's 6 seasons, seven.
It's
Seven.
painful, man. Peep Show for me. Like I love it, but it's so like because it's so good, it's unbearable. Sometimes.
More unbearable than The Office.
For me, yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it's more.
I guess because you can actually hear their thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
In Peep Show.
And like, I don't know, as you get older or in life, you've experienced some of the things Mark and Jeremy have
well,
gone
quite
through.
a lot of the time I think like that. There's people that have said that I remind them of Jez.
Oh I can see that.
I really because also I think quite like him as well. So I feel like I'm being
Jeremy.
seen
and I can imagine
way too much.
especially the old life you led.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I can see why they sort of ended when they did, because it was starting to look more and more ridiculous that Jez was just in a single bed, did nothing, smoked weed. Like I think he was like 40 by the end.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
They probably stopped it just at the right time.
Do you know what? Just to say though, that's how we connected at first. Like when we first met was through music. but really how we connected was through comedy, and it was Peep Show, The Office, Partridge. The Holy Trinity. Really,
I've never got Partridge.
Wow.
And so tell me what makes that brilliant, because The Office and Peep Show, I'm like so down. Like I that's just like almost to a religious level. I'm down.
No, you need to get into Partridge, and do you know what might be hard going back is that it has a laughter track. The first,
I could get around that.
Yeah, but it's just another up himself, deluded, arrogant character.
I was thinking delusion is funny.
Yes.
Like that's what they've all, and your show on People Just Do Nothing and The Office, and it's like delusion is just funny.
Yeah. Do you know what I was watching the other day, which is actually a massive inspiration, but we didn't really clock it, is Ali G.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yes. But that's early on.
Yeah.
By the time we met.
Yeah, that wasn't a thing, but I think that's like tunes your comedic
100%.
taste, like, because I was obsessed with him.
Same.
And like I think that is actually a massive contributing factor, even down to the mispronunciations of words.
That's right.
You don't really clock it.
Yeah,
but he is like the master of that.
Yeah, and he also spotted a type of person.
Yeah,
so it was
and
in
they're
the same
quite
way.
similar. Like this insane guy functioning in the real world, that's like them.
He's
I love how far he took it, like the people that he managed to interview.
That's
Ali G.
I love him in America. Doing the police training, and he's got the gun and
and it must have been so fun to play his characters. And do you have the same enjoyment of playing your characters?
Yeah. It's just like it's like cathartic. Do you know what I mean? You just go into it. And this is going to be just fun.
Yeah, and also I feel, especially with those characters, we can do anything.
Yeah.
Like you can just start riffing in a mid of a scene, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And something good or something shit might come out.
Nah, but it's true. Like, especially now when we learn, we're working on other things and stuff like
that.
It's
harder with other shows.
Because you don't know the characters inside out. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that?
Of course, we're still masters of improv. I'm not saying
big time.
But you still have to think about it more. Whereas it's just
he could just go, Beach, remember that cucumber?
Oh yeah,
that's mad. And then just start saying whatever.
Grinder did this thing, where he threw this cucumber so high,
and then I caught it in my mouth. And honestly, everyone in the park, just lost their mind.
Yeah, they went mental.
Did get lodged in my throat for a bit, but it was jokes.
When you guys started like getting offered new roles,
that's not even good. But we can do it. That's what I'm saying.
Way better than that.
Yeah.
When there's money on the table.
Did you guys feel that like when you were starting to be offered new roles that it was more of a challenge, like in terms of, I don't know, like even like to the point of like remembering lines, because I know you guys didn't come from theatre or acting school.
I tried that.
Did you figure out that there was more to suddenly think about and more to take on board?
It's a lot harder for me.
I mean, if we definitely. I mean, I think if we're going into this segment, you've got some good stories about that.
Big time.
Yeah.
Well,
I think the most extreme.
I think you figure out like what I did, what you are.
Hugo went into theatre.
Yeah, you did.
I attempted it. Yeah, and
after
failed.
Thinking, I'm getting quite popular at this thing now. I better like
big time.
I better
no. It's more like, do you want to do this? And I thought,
let's try it.
Let's give it a go.
Okay, right.
No, but that's so you mean
is that once People Just Do Nothing had become established?
Yeah. It was like we were doing the Curse Series 2 in Spain. And I'd said to it.
So in order to sort of prepare or to arm yourself with more kind of like...
I just thought sometimes I'm quite impulsive, and I was like, but I didn't really...
It's the last thing we would have ever expected of him. And we chatted and we said, this is either going to be the best thing ever do,
or
give
the
you
worst
discipline, or the biggest.
It was the worst.
But there's actually something really honourable about that, because if you've already had fame sort of with acting, you'd sort of just sort of ride that wave, not sort of go to school with it.
Try and lose new skill, definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
I figured out that I'm not good at learning lines verbatim. That I think
that part
probably
of it?
Dyslexic.
Yeah,
bruv, like pages, like 4 pages.
I don't know how people do it.
Like monologuing.
Did you ever watch Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch?
No.
Did you never see? Oh, well, that one's dead then. No, but like the monologues that he had to memorize. He's basically got the mind of a genius. So he'll be like and read you, and there's just the monologues that he has to. I don't know how actors do it. Did you find that hard with like Peacock, for example?
Yeah, like and it was the first time. It was like with People Stuffing, it's way more of an ensemble. This is the first time I had to really hold it all up. Do you know what I mean? Because and there's so much and it was it just got to the point where you haven't even got time to learn your lines.
And
anymore.
also, if you're around people that aren't used to like
improv,
you flinging a word that's not meant to be, or like for me, like a whole paragraph that freestyle.
You called me. Do you remember? You called me after the first day.
Oh, it's insane.
I remember the line.
Oh yeah. I was like this, like. My character was a builder, right?
Yeah.
And it was like bleeding neck, right? And like for me to say that is so unnatural. And I was like, this isn't like the 60s. Like, can I was like polite. I wasn't like as raw as that. I was like, this feels weird. Can I change it to like fucking hell or something? Yeah. And they were like, cool, we're going to go and check with the writer and the producer and director and just make for one line.
And then come in tomorrow an hour before to chat about it.
Yeah. Spent 3 days chatting about a character, which is good. Like certain things that I learned were really good. And certain things that I learned were fucking absolutely insane.
I remember Matthew McConaughey once saying that when he's learning his lines, it's more important for him to really understand what the character wants out of this scene.
100%.
And so once he really sort of figures that out, the lines become slightly sort of less important.
Definitely.
But also, so when you're like, do you have to do it exactly to the script? Or is there any room?
Not our things. Our things would be like, look, when people say improv, they think what that means is really fully going off script.
Yeah, like here's a stick. Make something fun about it.
Yeah, but
whose line is it anyway?
I used to love that show.
Yeah, but what we will do is deliver the lines as scripted, but loose and in a different way each time. Do you know what I mean?
But less so, I would say, with Peacock or The Curse, right?
Yeah.
Like, people just do nothing. I can imagine.
No, the same thing, because they're both our show. Like, like Peacock is like Steve's show, so that's family. Do you know what I mean? It's like, deliver it in your own way. But that doesn't look. That's like saying it's not that far off. It's like, oh yeah, do you want to put that on the table? And I might be like, do you want to chuck it down on the table? Yeah.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
So it's more important just being the character and what the character wants out of the scene and understanding it to a level where it matters less how you kind of...
But then there's some people, like I did a show for... I did a cameo on a thing called Witchfinder with Tim Key and Daisy Mae Cooper, and it was a big fan of theirs, great. The Gibbons brothers wrote it, who wrote the new Alan Partridge stuff. I love saying names like I know people.
I like it too. I don't know who any of them are, but I like it.
I've got a few that I'm going to try and
I used to hear people say that, and like, well, of course Tom Zagnovsky would be it, and I'm like, who the hell is that? How do they know who directed it?
How do you know? You're only meant to know Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, exactly. And Brad Pitt.
Brad.
And then I walk on set. I get the lines that morning. I walk on set and they want it like there needs to be in the right place.
Okay,
like,
right.
And I'm like sweating, and it was like an anxiety dream. And I'm there. I've only got one day. I don't know anyone. I'm dressed like ye old English sort of vibes. Boiling day. I've got a wig on, like dripping down my face.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, open my mouth and it's like, sorry, can I go again? Yeah, that's fine. Always take your time. Just make sure you get that in the right. Yeah, no, of course.
Did you turn up feeling prepared, feeling like I know these lines?
No, because I got a new script that morning.
Right. So how can they expect you to kind of...
Well, that's what, because when they work with Steve Coogan, he looks at it like, cool, I'm
relaxed. Maybe it's something that your brain just developed. You just developed the skill of memorizing stuff.
I think if you went to like a drama school, that stuff's beneficial. Like they teach you lots.
Which is
learning.
why you were going to or did go to theatre school.
No.
Oh no, it wasn't theatre school. He signed up to actually do the theatre, like an actual in West End.
Bro, I had my face on the side of a theatre. No, I didn't. They had to. Oh fuck! Wait,
can I go for a piss? He needs to tell you this story.
Okay, of course. So did you audition, or you actually was part of it?
They just thought I was like a.
Tell him properly in order because it's amazing.
They basically just thought I was like a great actor that can learn lines.
Yeah,
which I'm
because
not.
Based on.
Yeah, just based on I'm guessing The Curse and People Just Do Nothing.
Yeah.
Probably more People Just Do Nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm not. Like I think from doing that, I learned that if I can go off and do my version of a character, like say for example, it's something Steve made, discuss it, chat. I would say I'm all right to go off here and try some stuff, and he's like on that, so he'd be like, yeah, definitely, just do what you think's right. But that's only with stuff that we make. Yes, not with theatre, with production and everyone else learning all their lines verbatim. Yeah. So I think I was a bit of a wild card.
So how far into it were you part of a production?
Dress rehearsal. Dress rehearsal.
You got to the dress rehearsal, and then were they like, this isn't going to work out, or were you like, this isn't going to work out?
They were like that.
Right. But I rate you for going for that though. That's like really horrible. Jumping in.
You need to find out how it happened though.
Well,
I think this is the cardigan.
I'll tell you what happened on the day. I can't really.
Are you taking your cardigan off?
I'm taking my cardigan off now.
Cool. Continue.
Yeah. On the day, we did a dress rehearsal, and like there was a few mistakes. Like 7 out of 10 were mine, but one thing was their phone's meant to ring, so the phone call went off too early.
So they got the cue wrong.
They got the cue wrong.
Right.
So I picked up the phone. I did the exact lines. Like it was like literally 2 lines. So I knew that. Got that right. And then sat back down again. And then the phone rang again. So I got up and I just freestyled. And I said like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm doing a fucking seance. I was like, it's the flake, yeah? All right, cool.
So part of the character, but it had gone a bit off piece.
It went
completely. It's not even meant to be swearing.
Yeah, it went drugs.
But this is a dress rehearsal, right? This wasn't the actual.
Oh yeah, there are people in the audience, but like production,
and they take that shit seriously.
Yeah, and it's gone quite. I mean, a dress rehearsal is like almost gone. It's gone far.
Well, like, next up is the show, right?
Next day is the like opening.
So what would they have done? I mean, they would have had to have replaced your character pretty
they did.
soon. Yeah, right.
No, well, from what I realised,
with someone w's been doing it for 20 years who needs 5 minutes.
They'd already lined someone up because they were like so worried about me like doing it that they'd actually lined this person.
But I know
my test.
I keep going back to this, but I really rate you for going for doing that. I mean, you must have genuinely wanted to.
Yeah,
not this is going to be good for my career going forwards as an actor. You must have really wanted. You must have really wanted to do it.
He's not brave. He makes mental decisions sometimes.
Yeah.
What was the show? What was the
222, a ghost story. I'm like,
and would have that been on Shaftesbury Avenue or something? Would that have been a?
Yeah, it's like where Chinatown is.
Where Chinatown is.
Yeah, there. Big theatre, like picture of me.
yeah. They had the posters done and everything.
They did. They changed it for the new guy.
Just your bit.
Because I had to go there, like not to the theatre, but somewhere near there.
So would you have been when they have 2 names? Would it been? Yeah, it was Hugo Chegwin.
Yeah, it was Hugo Chegwin, Cheryl Cole.
Right.
The other people.
And how much of your life had it been up until the dress rehearsal? This must have been months of turning up and rehearsal and learning.
It was working proper,
What year was this?
Like 2 years ago.
Bruh.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And how did you feel about it not working out? Did you feel, because you'd obviously put a lot of, were you sort of relieved, disappointed?
No, at first I felt rejected.
Rejected,
yeah. I felt like a bit like disheartened.
Yeah, of course,
rejected,
of course.
Like I'm shit. But then after a while I realised actually I just don't want to do stuff, not that I'm given the opportunities, but like that are fun and that I'm excited for.
You don't want to do stuff that are fun.
No. I want to do stuff that's very serious that I hate. I only want to do stuff that's like just...
It makes sense as well, that's right for you.
There's jokes. Basically.
Yeah.
Like, you know... but I do want to do like Fury Road, obviously, or Mad Max.
Yeah, but it feels good. It feels
right. It's exciting, and also I'm allowed to do me, like my version of it. And
there's always that thing where they kind of like. I think someone said to me once, if there's something you find easy that other people seem to find really difficult, then just sort of do that. Yeah, like that's kind of what I had with DJing at the beginning. It's like wow, like. Everyone else finds this really difficult.
Yeah, this is easy.
And I don't know why. And so if you kind of find that thing, like people just do nothing must have it was just easy.
And also he's an improv master. That's his thing.
Well, I said to the director, I was like, I'm trying to just be nice about him. He was a prick, but I said like
of the theatre production. You mean?
Yeah, no, I know. I can't be bothered to be nice to people that. Yeah, take all this out.
You don't respect or love me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be loved, but I need to be loved.
Twat, man. But anyway, I said, let me do my can I I didn't say let me. I was like, can we just attempt it with my version of this character? Because trust me, it'll work better.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, definitely not.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, please, just one go. And then I did, not the dress rehearsal, the one before that. I was like, fuck it, I'm doing my version of it. And it actually worked really well. But
so they were open to it?
no, I just did it because I was like, fuck this. Like,
in the rehearsal?
Yeah, I just figured out, like, this is what I'm potentially good at, is my, like, let me go off.
Yeah.
Which that is his skill.
And everyone loved it, apart from the director and the writer who spent years crafting this whole play.
Yeah, that was probably why. Even if it was
that
better
was a massive,
your way,
probably get the fucking other guy in now.
The last thing we need is a maverick in this operation.
He say to you at the end, he was like exasperated and was like, I've never met anyone like you.
Yeah, well, he was a coward. Like, so after I didn't get it, I went into the dressing room and these two poor people from the fucking production company came.
They didn't have much money.
Yeah, they're very poor, like Oliver Twist vibe.
Yeah,
covered in soot,
overworked.
Like, and tweed. Came in and were like, "We're really sorry, but the director has just decided that it's not going to work." And I was like,
right.
But he didn't tell me, and then the next day,
I
sort of gave him a bit of a ultimatum, like, you need to tell me or I'm gonna like
carry on.
Do you think
otherwise I'll walk onto the stage and carry on.
I'm turning up and there's nothing you can do. And then he was just like, you're a wild card. Like I don't know what I'm gonna get from you. Like scene for scene.
And that's the point. Like, you know, everyone we've told about that story is like, you know, what he does. You book him for what he does, right? And then you're surprised that he does it. Like, doesn't make sense.
But I think the same with you as well. Like, I can see kind of a bit of
I could do anything.
Yeah.
Don't worry about me.
He's a real actor.
Yeah, I'm talented. I'm joking.
He's really pretending.
Yeah. But like, even still, like, every time I watched like Jack Nicholson, I could see Jack Nicholson. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the best actors, they do retain something. There's something that they put a little bit of themselves into sort of every role.
Yeah, definitely.
That's me comparing you guys to Jack Nicholson and the Robert De Niro's and whatnot.
Yes.
Definitely.
Danny DeVito.
Yeah. So, Sipa, did you just on the next tip? You just got back from LA, right?
Yeah.
So, what have you been to LA as well?
Yeah.
You know, the first thing I thought, and I don't know if I'm right, but when People Just Do Nothing popped off, I noticed that you were all kind of traveling, and in my head, I was like, oh, that's really sick. They're spending their money on traveling. Like, that's actually a really good place to spend your money is on experiences and on travel. Thanks everyone for listening to this episode of I'm As Shocked As You Are. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we will see you next time.